The vast expanse of the sky, once a symbol of freedom and possibility, transformed into a single horrifying point of impact. Laughter on board 2 airliners died in an instant, replaced by the chilling silence that descends upon unimaginable loss. This is not a hypothetical situation. Rather, it's the sobering reality of the 1996 mid-air accident near Charkhi Dadri, tragedy that will live on in the records of aviation history forever. On that terrible November 1996 day, a Boeing 747 flown by Saudi Arabian Airlines and an Ilyushin Tu-76 operated by Kazakhstan Airlines collided close to Delhi, India, killing 312 people in the process. Nobody made it out alive. Air traffic control, the unseen watchdog of the skies, relies on precise synchronization. Orders and clearances balanced one another. A single poor decision is a technical glitch, or a misunderstanding could have fatal consequences in this intricate ballet. The Charkhi Dadri crash serves as a stark reminder of this fragility. Though rare, the near-some estimates suggest there have been well under 100 mid-air collisions involving commercial passenger airlines throughout history. A mid-air collision was first reported at the Milano Circuito Aereo Internazionale meeting in Milan, Italy in 1910. Luckily, there was no fatality in the scenario. Coming to the 1996 Charkhi Dadri collision, hundreds of families plunged into grief. Dr. Sharma, whose groundbreaking research was forever lost. A daughter waiting in vain for a returning father, Ashok Sharma. A grandmother, Amma Nani, clutching a photo, the only remaining connection of her pilot grandson, Rahul. These personal tragedies, multiplied by 349, paint a harrowing picture of the human cost of this single event. It was a stark reminder that ambition, unchecked by robust safety measures, can shatter lives in the blink of an eye. The impact of Charkhi Dadri collision is unlike any other aviation disaster. The immense speed of the colliding aircraft, the lack of time for corrective action, and the catastrophic structural damage all contributed to an absolute loss of life. Even though there have been many similar tragedies in history, such as the 1956 Grand Canyon catastrophe that lost 126 lives, the Charkhi Dadri incident is notable for its extraordinary level of destruction. It serves as a constant reminder of how important it is to uphold strong safety protocols and constant vigilance in the dynamic domain of aviation. The near-some estimates suggest there have been well under 100 mid-air collisions involving commercial passenger airlines throughout history. The first documented incident of a mid-air collision was back in 1910 at the Milano Circuito Aereo Internazionale meeting held in Milan, Italy. Luckily, it was a non-fatal incident. It was a calm, peaceful Tuesday event when Saudi Arabian Airlines Flight 763, a giant Boeing 747, departed Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport. 1832, local time. A mix of professionals and families who boarded and were comfortably seated were ready to fly. The flight was scheduled from Delhi to Dhahran and was carrying 312 passengers who were eagerly waiting to return to work in Saudi Arabia. Out of these, there were 23 crew members. Saudi Arabian Airlines Flight 763 was captained by the experienced Khalid Al-Shubaili, a pilot with over 9,800 flying hours. His first officer and flight engineer rounded out the professional Saudi Arabian crew. Immediately after the takeoff, with the long journey ahead, some passengers surfed through the in-flight entertainment, while others were hopping to grasp some comfy blankets to have an excellent sleep before reaching home. En route was another plane, the Kazakhstan Airlines Flight 1907, a cargo service plane that took its flight from Chimkent Airport and was nearing an end to its journey in Delhi. On board were 37 passengers including 10 crew members. Kazakhstan Airlines Flight 1907 was overseen by Captain Alexander Cherepanov, another seasoned pilot with nearly 9,300 hours. The remaining Kazakh crew consisted of a first officer, navigator, flight engineer, and radio operator. The flight being in the air for hours, everyone was eager and looking forward to touching the ground. With just a few minutes distance away, the preparations for the landing were at an all-time high. Just as the destination further neared, pre-landing procedures were all in place. The smooth air traffic inflow and outflow was embarking the day, and so was the communication exchange between the on-ground air traffic controllers and flight operators. 1840 International Standard Time. A nearby crossing flight made a highly unexpected call from above the skies. This led to cries of despair as the crew of a United Nations Air Force cargo flight made a radio call stating an unusual event. A big explosion at the 2 o'clock position was what the captain called an alarm. Though inevitable, everyone on the ground hoped it would be unreal as the ground controllers desperately tried to contact the two suspected aircrafts. With shivers down the spine, the ATC personnel turned every stone to establish contact and hear from either SVA-763 or KZA-1907. Extreme silence was the only answer. Within no time, the rumors of the disaster cast a dark cloud over Delhi. Families gathered at airports, desperately waiting news of the safety of their loved ones. Not long before, the news channels got jammed with images of the wreckage, affirming the unimaginable. The clear skies, marked with the white specks on the radar, indicating the flight route, are an enjoyable, peaceful routine for the air traffic controllers. But little did they know what was brewing deep inside the superficial standard atmosphere. A sad heart that still cries, with the wounds that never heal, marks the incident of the Charkhi Dadri disaster back in 1996. Let's go back to the International Air Traffic Control Room on the night of November 12. The flight smoothly surfaced the skies with a clear glass view, pleasant weather with a keen, pleasurable flying experience. Therefore, questions arose about where things went wrong. Just as Saudi Airlines aircraft took its flight and was cleared to ascend, so was Flight 1907, which got cleared to descend. However, there was something else, an apparent misunderstanding of the route and altitude to sustain. Alas, within minutes into the sky, the meticulous beeping noise echoed the entire terrorism. But it was too late. The two aircrafts disappeared from radar as everyone on the ground shook with fear about how could two jumbo jets end up at the same altitude. Before anyone could anticipate, within the next second, a blinding flash fills the sky. Destruction is a term invincible as the debris rains down on the darkened landscape with 100% mortality, leaving not a single survivor on board. 1845 International Standard Time. Emergency protocols were established and activated. Ground search and rescue teams were taken on board by the Chief Investigating Committee as they searched in a race against time to locate the crash site. On the ground, people reported witnessing the fiery descent of the debris, hinting at valuable clues about location. The radar data about the last location of the aircraft was collected. Ultimately, due to collaborative efforts of public and investigative authorities, a heartbreaking site was identified by the authorities and was 100 kilometers, 62 miles west of Delhi. The debris was spanned and scattered. It covered approximately 7 kilometers, 4.3 miles long and 2 kilometers, 1.2 miles wide. Further investigation revealed that several other minor explosions followed the initial impact explosion. The fate was an ultimate catastrophe. To look closer, let's rewind the events during the disastrous crash. Saudia 763 was told by the ground authorities to confirm immediate descent to 15,000 feet, while Kazakhstan 1907 unfortunately accidentally picked the message to maintain its current heading. Guess what? The chaotic situation ended them at the same altitude at the same time, right inside in front of each other. Yet, at a time that was insufficient to escape. The on-ground stress followed the on-air tension escalation. Air traffic controllers meticulously monitored radar screens. With just a glimpse of an eye, the two blips representing airplanes appeared to converge, getting closer and closer at an uncontrollable speed with each second. No response from either aircraft was the ultimate deadliest fate. The collision took place in the west of New Delhi, India. A minute error in understanding left everyone with an unforgettable, devastating loss. The rarest event of mid-air collision demanded immediate attention and the formation of a team of investigation. November 30, 1996, a panel was formed by the Board of Aviation Directors, urgently with leading investigators. The chief in charge was the Lahoti Commission, headed by the Delhi High Court Judge Ramesh Chandra Lahoti. The aim was precise: to determine the exact cause of the mishap. The flight data recorders, also known as the black boxes, were confiscated and decoded. To sustain transparency, the decoding teams were outsourced. The Kazakhstan Airlines decoding was done in Moscow, and Saudi Arabian flight data was retrieved by the investigators under the supervision of air crash investigators in Farnborough, England. Meanwhile, a separate report was made gathering all the information and details about the exchange of communications. There were three possibilities to rule out: a misunderstanding or perhaps a missed instruction. The team also took on board the meteorological department to rule out sudden weather factors as a factor in the collision. Another report stating the details of ground witnesses and their statements was also made by the investigators. The committee continued the investigation for over 6 months in total. March 1996, the concluding episode began to set in with keen suspicion in ruling out the technical faults for which aviation experts analyzed the recovered wreckage. Potentially, the language barrier was a contributing factor, so the committee tried to shortlist possible miscommunication. Last but not least, the operational procedures review of both airlines and the ADC was done to identify any potential shortcomings as a contributing factor to the accident. Following the compilation series, a set of meetings were carried out by the assigned staff members with questioning from representatives of both airlines. The air traffic control was also under the scrutiny of accountability. Miscommunication was the primary doubt of concern, but who was at fault was yet to be found. The truth was yet to unfold as Mr. Ivanov, the key representative of Kazakhstan Airlines, was asked to elaborate and clear a potential doubt on the communication breakdown with his pilot. While the efforts were on the way to uncover the reason behind this massive misconception, the session continued with Ms. Al-Harazi, Saudi Airlines representative, to confirm if there were any technical issues reported with Saudia 763 by the onboard crew. To which, with outstanding communication and confidence, Ms. Al-Harazi responded. A straight no was the final call. Further, she affirmed that the Saudia Flight crew followed all instructions and acted heroically in their final moments, leaving no stone unturned to avoid the collision. The conclusion was published, and the final report was revealed in July 1997. Nonetheless, it was a series of unfortunate and shocking events stating that disasters do not happen but involve a complex chain of events and circumstances. The misunderstanding caused the death, and the blame pointed towards the Kazakhstan Airlines flight due to a reported failure to intercept the air traffic control instructions. The resultant inability to descend as instructed was the consequence. In this way, the investigation concluded that the pilot error on the Kazakhstan Airlines flight was the primary cause. Shared responsibility was what got into writing. While the initial report pointed a dim accusing to the Kazakhstan Airlines flight's failure to follow instructions, it emphasized the importance of acknowledging a shared responsibility, including pilot error, insufficient communication protocols, and lack of adequate safety technology. But that does not mark the end of the discussion. What's important is to understand the impact of implementing everything necessary to prevent a similar crash in the future. The Charkhi Dadri disaster served as a wake-up call for the aviation industry, leading to several safety improvements that people worldwide are benefiting from today. Perhaps the most significant change would be creating a safe environment for industry insiders. With the report safety concern opportunities, transparency can be sustained and risk mitigation can be done promptly. However, this demands setting people free from the fear of retaliation. The Charkhi Dadri disaster wasn't just about the loss of 300 lives. It was a story of countless dreams that shattered, futures extinguished. Above all, it left a nation grappling with human costs of gems. On board the flight to Dhahran was Dr. Aisha Sharma, a 32-year-old Indian physician. Her eyes, usually sparkling with life after a long night saving lives, were heavy with exhaustion. The 24-hour shift treating victims of a recent outbreak had taken its toll. Renowned for her dedication and compassion, Dr. Sharma was a beacon of hope, not just for her patients but for the entire medical field. Her pioneering research into affordable rural healthcare solutions promised to bridge the gap between urban privilege and remote suffering. Now, that promise lay dormant, silenced mid-flight. The Charkhi Dadri disaster was a web of shattered dreams as it extinguished lives. Ashok Sharma, a businessman based in Saudi Arabia, was finally returning home after a year to celebrate his daughter Dia's wedding. Every grainy video call, every exchanged message hummed with the anticipation of reunion. Priya, his wife, bustled with preparations. There were two young children, Arjun and Kiara. The news of the crash turned their joyous anticipation into a suffocating silence, punctuated only by choked sobs. Dia, her heart cried to the wedding sherwani her father would never wear. Across the vast sprawl of India, the ripple's effects spread. In a small village in Himalaya, an older woman, Amma Nani, clutched a worn photograph, the edges softened by years of loving touch. The picture showing a young Rahul, Amma Nani's grandson, grinning widely in his pilot's uniform. Rahul, with his unwavering optimism and infectious laugh, was her world. He embodied the dreams of a million young Indians. Her ascent from a humble village to the cockpit, a testament to sheer grit. Now her world had shrunk to the size of that photograph. Every crease a silent scream. Far away in the bustling heart of Mumbai, a young journalist named Samir paced his cramped apartment, the silence broken only by the frantic tapping of his keyboard. He had been chasing a story about corruption in the aviation industry, a story that some influential figures desperately wanted buried. The Charkhi Dadri disaster was the tip of the iceberg, and Samir, with his unwavering sense of justice, was determined to expose the truth. But now, the weight of lives lost, not just in the crash but potentially due to negligence, pressed heavily on him. Every keystroke resonated with the responsibility to give a voice to the silenced. Further problem-solving and preventive tactics highlighted the need for innovation. The focus turned to improved communication protocols and implementing traffic collision avoidance system, TCAS, in an aircraft regardless of the route, the airlines, and the pilot's competency. TCAS acts as a digital guardian angel. It not only warns by alerting pilots of the nearby aircraft, but also alarms when a certain distance of potential mid-air collision is detected. At this point, a single act can prove to be life-saving. While it wasn't available in 1996, it's now mandatory in most countries and is easily accessible. However, there is a need for it to be serviced and ensured that it is properly functioning. Investigating the cause of the technical malfunction in the Charkhi Dadri case can guide specific maintenance protocols. The focus on safety has continued to evolve. Advanced radar systems and improved air traffic control procedures have enhanced situational awareness to both pilots and controllers. Additionally, crew resource management (CRM) training has become a cornerstone of pilot training, emphasizing communication, teamwork, and decision-making skills within the cockpit. Enforcing stricter regulations on pilot rest periods to combat fatigue could contribute to some aviation accidents. The final discussion was about enhancing communication protocols between pilots, air traffic controllers, and maintenance crews. The dilemma is how the vast expanse of the sky, a valid symbol of freedom and possibility, can get narrowed to a single horrific point of impact. The Charkhi Dadri disaster is a stark reminder that even the most meticulous and smooth journey be tragically cut short with a disaster. In a nutshell, the Charkhi Dadri disaster is a stark reminder of the importance of air traffic control procedures and pilot vigilance. The disaster wasn't just an aviation incident, it was a human tragedy. 349 lives were lost in an instant, families shattered, dreams extinguished. The impact resonated far beyond the crash site. Charkhi Dadri wasn't a lone wolf in the wilderness of aviation tragedies. In 1974, a foggy shroud descended upon Zagreb, where a collision between a British Airways TriStar and a chartered DC-9 claimed 176 lives. Over 2 decades later, near Oberlingen, Germany, another mid-air collision between Tupolev Tu-154 and a Boeing 757 snatched away 71 souls. Each incident is a stark reminder of the constant need for vigilance and unwavering commitment to safety. The scars of Charkhi Dadri may forever mark the aviation industry, but the lessons learned are its indelible legacy. Technological advancements, stricter protocols, and a relentless pursuit of safety have demonstrably improved the skies. Yet, the struggle is never-ending, as the quest for absolute safety is an ongoing journey. Every innovation, every near miss, And every investigation is a vital reminder. Complacency is the ultimate enemy. As we strive for a future where the skies remain a canvas for a dream, the echoes of the past guide us towards a horizon painted not just with safety, but with a profound respect for the sanctity of human life.